After crunching the numbers with Mr. MC Squared, one thing was agreed upon between the two of us and AX.
Thank
and
you.
that is this simple statement.
Yes.
Becoming is better than
Recognizing.
being. And that's precisely why we here are a work in progress. It means you are never complete and you always have that opportunity to become someone better.
Indeed, I also crunched the numbers with MC Squared. I made sure GK was nowhere to be found. And together, we discovered that being a work in progress allows you the ability to be comfortable with making mistakes and accepting yourself for who you are.
Welcome to Work in Progress. I am MC Squared, and this
I'm AX.
And I am your host, Mr. GK. Welcome to the show. So, in keeping with our themes over the last 3 weeks, we have been giving an in-depth look at the upcoming election from the perspective of 3 work in progress young people to the rest of the public. But before we get into our discussion today, just to get us in the mood, Mr. GW, our resident chairman, sent us a bunch of memes, funny memes that have no certain context, that you can contextualize to anything.
Yeah.
And he's told us our job is very simple. We look at these memes, which will be played on the screen, and then we connect those memes to events that are around the election. So either individuals or environments, anything. Okay? So each of us have been sent these things to our phones because we are the technology generation. And yes, so we'll start with this one. I'll allow Mr. MC Square to take it because line imefika wapi.
No, this is Githeri man.
I like that. I like that. When we see Githeri man again,
I hope so.
A new one, a new
really hope
one.
we'll
I'm
see
gonna see
Githeri man.
multiple Githeri
I
man.
think multiple Githeri man.
Because immediately Githeri man did his thing.
See,
My aunt was like, by the way, that's such a clever idea. Because she treats Githeri like popcorn.
Yeah.
Wait,
So she
what?
just- yeah, apparently people are random.
But his Githeri had
just
soup.
pops- His Githeri had soup.
Yeah, his Githeri had soup. He used to carry it before plastics were banned.
Anyways,
Oh
we
my
commend you,
God.
Mr.
Githeri man.
Next one, comrade, lower your voice, I beg. I already have one for this.
Go.
Yvonne Okwara to DP Ruto.
That's good.
lower your voice,
That's good. That's good. That's good.
That's good.
Point
Yeah.
DK. Because we know AX watched this cartoon when she was younger.
Yes.
This is a sponge that is called Robert, and he's writing on a piece of paper, SpongeBob.
Please don't fail this generation.
Oh my God.
Yes, don't fail this
Okay,
generation.
Gachagua trying to figure out where to get kerosene.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! Yeah.
Yes, why not?
I also think he really figured out how to write that Mwakenya. He tried so much.
He tried very hard to.
to actually figure
Or
it
it's Ruto trying to find a way to answer these questions without referencing state capture,
Oh.
institutionalization.
Yes, and without saying
Right.
enough is
Yeah,
enough.
enough is enough.
Maybe that was the end of after looking at those calculations, like,
It's like,
you know what, enough is enough. This one is a professional photographer. I have the context for this one. And unfortunately, he's my target right now. Madam Miss Mama Mboga, 1 second.
Yes! Guys.
Now you can go. Now you can. This is in reference to the Mama Mboga being shown being shoved
pushed.
out of the way.
Disrespect, Z.
Who's got this one?
You know, Gachagua was telling this is it EAPC? No. PCA Women's
Yes.
Clinic. One of them is wondering why Gachagua is talking about them.
Or she's come from eating porridge and she's come to his house and he's like, where's the nyama? Wapi nyama?
Or the alternative when William Ruto says enough is enough.
Excuse me?
Excuse me.
Okay, this is hyena.
I have it.
Okay, even me, I have one. So
Okay,
let's
go.
hear yours and then I'll hear mine.
When you realize Bajakoya is your Uber driver.
You know, people are saying weed is so bad that Wajakoya had to come to the interview to say he's not attending the interview.
Me, I thought a different one. And my mind went to the Kenyan theme for a hyena is a mafisi. This is a young mafisi. Then Ati, we're going to Shags. Is there fresh meat in Shags? That's what he's asking, because some of us are voting in Shags and people are like, please.
I have one for the next one. Now, these are Ruto's dogs. You know, his minions
Yeah.
now trying wash after the elections.
Oh yes. Yes.
Hey, with SpongeBob there in
Okay,
their hands.
I have another one. Me and the boys on our way to steal the election.
Me, I think it's after the Supreme Court ruling when Ruto has already lost. These are his lawyers.
Me and the boys. Okay. The next one.
I have none for the next one. Do any of you have anything?
I have nothing.
Okay.
MC squared.
Tumeona wengi hata mwisho. No.
You
No,
don't
you
have
have
any?
nothing.
No, I reserve my comments on
Okay.
this
The
one.
next one.
Utamu wa ugali ni aina ya boga. Hey?
I feel like that's very profound. I don't know how to.
Is it profound?
It feels like it
It's
should
very
be profound.
philosophical.
Me,
Yes.
I definitely have one for the next one.
Okay, so we've all just.
I don't know if you guys have anything. Me, I just saw the next one and I'm like, boss, okay.
We should go there.
IBC. IBC counting votes.
Yes.
A little chai on the side.
I have failed you.
Oh.
Even Okwara serving Ruto tea.
Yes.
Oh, I like that. Spill the tea. And no single drop is being spilled.
Of course.
The next one is a famous cartoon many of us used to watch when we were children. Dexter's Laboratory. And he's looking at the Kenyan flag and saying, I have failed you.
You're not saying it right. It's I have failed you. You have to say it the right way.
I have not watched that thing since I was a child.
What? Neither have I. But some things stick with you. Come on now.
Yeah. I think after we don't vote for
It's it's all about choices. Yeah, I think that one is all about choices. We'll leave it to that. Okay, let's do one more. Anyone can go through whatever they've just seen and tell us one. So MC Squared, tell us on one of the last few you've seen.
now. This man watching the TV while standing.
Doing the dad pose.
The dad pose. I think the situation of how Kenya Kwanza is spending lies left, right, and center.
It's not for sitting.
Garant something like this, yeah.
Me, my last one is the last one that we've been shared here. Amani ni mimi, ni wewe, ni sisi. Very simple, profound message. I like it. It doesn't need any description there. It's all of us, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
AX, do you have anything else to add?
No. I
Okay.
think I'm good.
So we'll move on to the discussion today. And today's discussion is a difficult one to hold, but one we must hold nonetheless.
Yeah.
We did, in the previous weeks, we've talked about debates, we've talked about manifestos, we've talked about developing an election ticket, a winning ticket. But as we go closer to the election, one thing we've not talked about is our personal feelings towards the upcoming election.
Yes.
And what we are worried about ahead of the election.
Yeah.
So we agreed that that's what we're going to ask each other today.
Yeah.
Very simple question. What are you worried about ahead of the election? So we'll start with you, AX,
Yeah.
and then we'll go between either me and MC Squared will go next.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so if I had to talk about what is worrying me the most about this election, it is the voter apathy. The fact that for a lot of people, you're not particularly enthralled or excited by any of the candidates. And you're having a lot of people who are, at least some of the conversations I've had with people, are people telling me, I'm just not going to vote. It's just a lot easier for me to stay home. I'd much rather have that day off of work, and I treat it as a day off as opposed to actually going out to vote. And the reason why that scares me is because it's not just Kenya that's going through this rise in voter apathy. It's the entire world that's going through
Especially
this rise in
among
voter
the young
apathy.
people.
Especially amongst young people. And it makes sense, right? Like our generation, we've lived through two once-in-a-lifetime economic crises and a plague. We have had to be resilient.
In the span of 3 years.
In the span of 3 years, we've had to be resilient, creative, determined, and above all, just like literally too stressed to be blessed
It's
sometimes.
like series of uncertainty.
Yes.
Begin with the pandemic, you hear of locusts, then pandemic,
And now-
then pandemic, then
And then on top of that, you have climate change. That's
that is
threatening
just hitting
to
everyone. Apparently, us in Kenya, us who are feeling very cold, the people in the West who they've
40
never felt
degrees.
that much heat in their lives.
40 degrees Celsius in the UK.
But are we as young people treating ourselves as people who are giving up before we've even tried?
I think yes, we are, and that's also why it scares me, right? Because what happens when people don't go out and vote is that the minority, the voice of the minority that do go out and vote, their voice and their choices are amplified. So it's not really a democracy, it's a rule by the minority.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want, that's what you want to avoid, because that's not democracy at all.
Yes.
Democracy is more than having an election, it's more than going out to vote. It is a spirit of competition, it is civic participation, it is actually being involved in your government. And more youth are just saying, I'm done. I'm going to focus on securing my bag.
Yeah.
And then what the government can do whatever it needs to do as long as it doesn't mess with my ability to secure my bag.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, in my opinion, why I think I'm a bit apathetic. I'm not apathetic to... I'm not pathetic. I'm not apathetic to...
Because you normally sit on the fence, so
No.
we need to know if this is different.
I am very determined to vote in the presidential election. However,
Not your
when you go
governors.
between... After that, governors... I'm not inspired.
Because we have 4 candidates, so there is nowhere to sit on the fence.
Yeah, there's no. I have a decision to make in the.
Okay.
I'm very inspired to vote presidential.
But not for the... But don't
But
you
everything
see...
underneath, positions like, and I think many people, because I've spoken to many people. Do you know who your women reps, your women
your
reps that are
MCA,
running?
the candidates.
Do you know your MCAs? Me, I'm actually going to go because I'm one of the Kenyans who's going to vote in Shags.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to go and talk to the people around my home in Shags and ask them, okay, who is the candidate we're following? Because I don't know anything about the MCAs, about the MPs. There's a bit of dissatisfaction across the board from governor to senator to MP to MCA and women rep.
But you as a person who can actually check the facts for yourself, why don't you spend some time check
it's
out the
work.
candidates? No, I know it's work, yes, but for example, a women rep. If candidates are running for women rep in your county, they are not maybe more than 5.
Yeah.
I'm certain you can at least check each one of them out, because at least you have the means and you're in a position to.
You know, one of the things that has also frustrated me is in the previous system, with all the flaws it had, the parliament position was very valuable to have, because that's how you get a ministerial position. And so you'd see the brains of your country run for MP,
Yeah.
not for governor, not for anything, for MP.
Yeah.
So you'd get guys like Kiraitu Morongi, who is a very learned man, or Rengo. You have people like Mwai Kibaki,
Even
who are all-
Odinga himself,
Odinga
yeah.
himself, even
Yes.
Ruto, were all
Yes.
MPs
Yes.
First.
who were standing in parliament. You should watch some of those old debates
Oh my
and
God.
compare them
Okay.
with
They were
today's
good.
debates.
They were good. They were good.
They were fantastic. But now when I sit and listen to the debates, when I listen to, I remember the first time I listened to the Kiambaga, Wajiko, talk in front of people, I was not pleased. I was not pleased. I was not motivated. So as a young person, I am motivated to vote at the top.
Yeah.
Wajakoya has helped with that, has helped a little bit. I'm motivated to vote at the top. But below, there's a bit of disconnect, I feel, with impact. And then most of my people, and I'm gonna call my Kenyans out. Matiang'i called them out also. We are gonna vote for you, the person who gives us the most money, the guy who gives us the most 100 bobs. So
You
does
mean
it-
200s, because there's apparently
200
a shortage.
There's a shortage of 200 bobs, things like that. So that's why I'm apathetic, at least. What do you think?
MC Scud? Are you apathetic? And if so,
I
why?
am not apathetic.
Why, okay, why do you care?
I care because, and this is something I've found out, in each county in Kenya, as the percentage of youths in that county increase, then voter apathy also increases. And it's very sad, because if we think this country should be run by people who actually can run it, then we should at least take charge. And many youths are running for positions this year. The problem is, will the youths actually vote for them?
In the MCA position, I think it's entirely youth, isn't it?
It is for the most part,
Yeah,
a
youth.
lot of youth.
But why are they running? And I think that's the problem, because I want to vote for a fellow youth or a fellow young person, but their motives for running
They're
is usually
never good. They want to get a piece of that cake.
they want the money.
Yeah.
Okay, that is essentially what is troubling me. Therefore, if you want to, help me sleep better at night, please go out and vote. Please read up about your candidates. Figure out what matters to you, and then find the candidate that best aligns with your values.
Yeah.
I beg, please.
So I'll go next.
Yes.
For me, what's freaking me out is the cost of politics, both the financial and the life cost. Because every election, and I know people have heard us repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Every election cycle, there seems to be crises.
Yeah.
In 92 and 97, it was largely concentrated in the areas of Molo, areas like that.
Yeah.
That's where you had a lot of the conflict. 2002 was one of the few peaceful ones because it was a time when the whole country was ready for the change.
Everyone
Yeah.
knew what was
Since
coming.
then, we still had crisis after crisis after crisis. 2017, we lost 1 trillion,
Every working
1 trillion shillings and
Yeah,
1
1
billion
billion
every
every
working
working
hour. We lost more than 1,000 lives in 2007, got hundreds of thousands of people as internally displaced peoples.
Yeah.
And yet, I feel we still not solved our election issues. For example, in the previous 2017 Supreme Court rulings, we were told very clearly what needs to be avoided. But then when you listen to some of the processes that's being done by IEBC,
Oh my God.
unfortunately you feel, okay, are we going back into another protracted election where we won't have someone sworn in by October, but rather November, maybe December, maybe next year?
Yeah.
In January.
To me, I'm like, and then I want to say Kenya is a walking, talking oxymoron. You know why? Now, this year on Breaking 5, run by, of course, GK and AX, we have on countless occasions talked about the amount of companies that want to set camp in Kenya.
Yeah.
Microsoft, there's so many. You have also heard of the International Financial Center.
I love
being
how you
opened.
said there are so many, then just named one.
I can't remember the others. All those international conglomerates. So all of them see Kenya as a key strategic location to invest, and Kenya has made policies that invites them in.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you also get reports that say many people have a lot of reservations with investing in Kenya this year
Yes.
because of the
the
protracted
elections.
election process. So to me, I'm like, if we are progressing, it's like we're sprinting forward with like a rock holding our left leg. So we're moving, but we could move much faster had we solved the issue of elections. That's my fear.
Okay. I mean, personally for me, there's not really anything I can add. I feel like you've hit the nail right on the head.
Thank you very much.
I also feel like you've said everything except for this bit of politicians spending money on people. Because our campaigns are increasingly becoming expensive
Yeah.
to manage.
Yeah.
Then it no longer becomes an issue of who has the policies, who has the ideas.
No.
It becomes a question of who
has the
has
money?
the most money.
And I think to add on to that point about financing the elections, you also have to look at the literal cost of our elections in terms of the IEBC. Like you've even heard like this year, they've been consistently complaining they do not have enough money to do the election the way it needs to be done.
Yeah.
But they've also said that if we were to go into a runoff or a rerun, they don't have the money for that as well, right? And we already know what happened the last time. They kind of ran an election while being severely underfunded or under-budgeted. Things did not end well. Are we really expecting a different outcome right now? I doubt it.
And it's sad because even IBC themselves, they've been given the money, yeah? But the way they are going about their processes of using that money is
shady.
questionable. Then it
very.
becomes a problem of, now you guys have the money.
Yes.
The way you are spending it is also a problem.
Yeah.
Now it no longer becomes a question of cost, but also other inflated costs
Yeah.
on top of what we already have. Yeah.
Anyways, that's what I'm worried about. Hoping that everything goes well.
Perhaps I can link your point and my point together. So perhaps the reason why a lot of youth in particular are apathetic about our politics is because the cost of the elections are so high. So it's a lot. So rather than dealing with that cost by participating and engaging in our politics, you just remove yourself from the situation altogether and say, I'm taking a stand by not participating at all. And that
Making my statement by not voting.
And that for you is how you make your statement. That for you is how you make your voice heard.
Exactly.
Which reminds me of that quote that says that if you maintain neutrality in a moral crisis, the hottest seats in hell are for you.
Mr. Fence-Sitter, I feel like
From where? From where?
That was a
I'm talking
message
about
from
my
God.
cost. I'm talking from my heart, and then MC Squared comes. Now wait. Whatever you say, I'm going to fight. Whatever you say, I'm fighting.
Can you let him speak first?
It's okay. You
Let
can
him
fight
speak
it.
fairly
Okay,
first.
sorry. MC Squared, you can go.
I want to do what is worrying me, and I want to link your 2 points into the last, and is how do you win an election? And especially in this country, most people are saying, I've won because of this.
Yeah.
This other side says they have won because of this. But historically, the way to win an election is a little bit different from what they are telling us. Number one, that other day you were asking, does polls actually tell us who is going to win an election? The answer is no. But also, Yes, a little bit. If you do not look at polls in isolation. And what has been worrying me is how this election is actually going to turn out.
Yeah.
And there are so many things that determine how you win an election. And number one is the political organization of politics in Kenya. And it's completely, and we all know this, ethnic.
It is.
So
And I don't think
people
that's a bad
vote
thing.
according to where you come from.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. There is a second factor, voter turnout. No, the problem is that these same people who are saying we have won, they don't usually look at, do you people even go out to vote in the first place? Most of the time you find out that they don't. So if you want to make a prediction of who is going to win an election, my advice is do polls, do ethnic, then do turnout together. So if you do that, you can at least tell us,
You can build a picture
of how it's going
how
to
it's
turn
going to
out.
happen.
Media coverage, rallies, these crowns for higher things, they don't work. It's just theatrics
They're setting
and
perception,
visuals.
isn't it?
It's a
developing
perception, yes. And I think that perception is usually set for when you lose, so that you can tell people,
But
these
look at
crowds,
all these things.
I had a
that we
lot of
did.
media coverage.
But also equally, those, especially with crowds, it's also important when you are also about to win. Because like in 2016, I think part of the reason, like a lot of Trump's rhetoric in the US for how and why he won was that look at my crowds. My crowds were huge. They were huge. I had the biggest crowds ever. Like so much so that he took great efforts.
He said he had
Exactly.
the greatest in his inauguration.
Yeah, the greatest crowd of
The
all time
greatest crowd,
inauguration.
And
And you
immediately you just compare the pictures with
for
his
Obama
Obama's.
and Trump, you're like,
Of course,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Obama talked to 240,000 people
People.
in his inauguration
On the day,
on that day. The people were there.
240,000.
And you
Yes.
imagine how many more people were watching
Yeah, I'm
the
imagining the traffic
inauguration
jams.
of
Goodness.
really.
And
Why would you take something away from a magical moment?
You know, let me tell you
Why?
why sometimes I don't go attend these big events. It's not that I really want to be part of those
Is it
historic
that you're
moments.
invited?
I'm invited high level, you know. The reason I don't go is because sometimes when
they'll
you're
ask
going
you to
on
sit
your
on
own,
the fence.
those lines, I'm gonna ignore this figure in front of me. Those lines and that process of entering the line, going in there just to stand and listen to a guy give me a speech. You know, when I'm in my home in a my television, I can watch it very comfortably.
But it's history in the
You'd ask
making.
like that first meme, like line imefika wapi?
Yes.
and I still want to join the line.
And no, talking about actually winning an election, there is a final factor, and the ex maybe you will comment on this. Our constitution has limited us in a way that you have to have 50% plus one of every vote cast in an election. And then you will find out that in some elections, you will have maybe 3 or 4 very strong candidates. And they have to share 100% of the votes. And if they are strong, it means
it takes away.
Takes
Pulls away.
So if you want to get 50 plus 1, you must make sure the other candidates either are not strong or you join with them.
So I think the way in which you're right, in the sense of, I think this is something that Ms. Kaya said on Winning Headlines, that the candidate to beat in our elections is not William Ruto, it's not Raila Odinga, it's 50% plus 1.
Yes.
Because getting to that threshold is incredibly difficult, especially in the first round. The only person that's been able to do it has been the president, twice. No, 3 times actually. So in this election, again, the candidate for all of our front runners and Wajakoya Maore would be to beat 50% plus 1. In addition to, I think it's getting like 25% of the vote in at least 24, 25 counties or something.
In at least half,
In at least half of the counties. And as a result of, but the reason why you need to get that, and the reason why, even if that threshold causes the vote to be broken down, segmented for various people, is that it allows you to plan for round 2. So whenever you have, in most electoral systems with true round voting systems, there's like an unspoken rule amongst the electorate. In round 1, you vote with your heart. In round 2, you vote with your head. Right?
Also,
So all you need to do is get to round 2.
So for me, also one thing that I thought I'd touch on that once you've talked about predicting elections, is that predicting elections has been a science taken by people, different societies in different parts of the world. For example, you've talked often to me about, was it Sarkozy?
Sarkozy, yes.
Sarkozy in France. In France, and how they predicted his defeat. You also have someone called Alan Lichtman, who's an American who has predicted, I think, the last 8 elections, something like that, like crazy, since Reagan, using what he calls 13 keys, asking 13 questions very scientifically. And once he gets the answers for all that, he weighs it, and whoever has the most things wins the election.
Yes.
So these things about predictions, using these things, these factors you have said, the numbers, the 50% plus 1, all that is actually a very important thing to sort of see who will win.
Exactly.
But I will say this: predictions aren't reality. No. 2016 was a very hard lesson in that prediction is not reality, because in 2016 you had the Brexit referendum vote and then you had the US presidential election, and both of those events, the thing that you thought was going to happen did not happen. And it caught everyone off guard. Like clearly, sometimes you can miss something in your own modeling, so be aware of that as you're thinking, trying to figure out who's going to win the election.
Yes, and the very final part is we have 4 candidates. Number 1 is Raila. Raila historically has maintained 44% of his vote. So you can safely assume that he will retain that.
Yes.
Number 2 is Ruto. Ruto is only because we said your ethnicity is a factor. He may retain or get something from his ethnicity, which is around 20% of the total vote. Then there is Wajakoya. Wajakoya lies neither here nor there because he does not have a constituency.
Not yet. We're going to find out this year.
Not yet. So this year at least, we will find out what Wajakoya gets. But as it stands, well, you can plan your list with Raila on the top, Ruto next, Wajakoya, and that other person.
And of course, we're not telling you how to vote. I'm just saying that.
Okay. So as we conclude, I see we have about a minute.
Yes.
We'll conclude with a recommendation. So I think because of time, I'll be the only one to give a recommendation this time. And I'm going to recommend a show, a documentary called Our Father.
That I recommended to him.
AX recommended to GK. And GK took it and gave it the GK stamp.
With suggestions from me.
You see, it all worked. It all worked.
Yes.
But unfortunately, this is GK's opinion. So Our Father is an interesting documentary that talks about an individual,
Dr. Donald Klein.
Dr. Donald Klein, who, through some means that you'll watch from the documentary, which is on Netflix, fathered hundreds of children.
Not hundreds.
Okay, fathered
At least
100 children, at least, through interesting means, through artificial insemination. It's a very interesting story to see
on purpose
the mind of how sometimes people do things that make no sense at all. So if you have the time, take some time and watch Our Father on Netflix, about an hour 30 minutes, but it's a good watch. Thank you so much, and Work in Progress will be here with you as we always are next time.